Most people pick the wrong personal trainer, and honestly, most of the time, it's not your fault. You've come to this point in your fitness career, let's call it, where you've hit a plateau, or you don't know how to get yourself to that next level, whatever that next level might be, and so you need some outside help. But obviously, if you don't know how to get yourself to that next level, how are you supposed to find somebody who can? It's kind of difficult to do because you don't know what you don't know. What questions do I even ask them when I'm trying to find a personal trainer? So I want to give you guys 4 things that you can look for in a personal trainer to make sure that you're finding somebody that's actually going to help you get to that next level that you want. So let's just dive right in, because the first thing is having some intention behind your decision. A lot of people, what they do is they just go to their local gym. They say, I want to take a class. I want to work with a personal trainer because, I don't know, I don't like the way that I look, and I want to lose some weight, and I want to feel good. Okay, you're going to go work with Jimmy over there. Like, no intention behind that decision at all. Sure, you went to a gym, and I know that feels reliable because you're going somewhere where everybody, is centered around fitness and being in shape and whatnot. And this Jimmy guy over here, he must have a certification of some kind. The gym uses him, the gym employs him. He must be good in some regard. Odds are he's not. And, there's tons of personal trainers at gyms that are great. But let's be real. You go to a regular commercial gym, you just pick a personal trainer out of a hat, the odds are that they're not going to be that great. And bare minimum, they're probably not going to be the right fit for you. I've been a personal trainer for a really long time, and this isn't me trying to market myself to you. I don't want to work with you, okay? But I operated in that world of personal training and online coaching for a really long time, and I specifically worked with a lot of bodybuilders. These are like high-level athletes, whether you consider bodybuilding a sport or not, I don't care. The point still stands. And anybody else who's been like a personal trainer or a coach at a very high level knows exactly what I'm about to talk about. You go into a gym, a commercial gym for whatever reason, and you see the just generic personal trainer that got assigned to somebody who came in and is kind of lifting for the first time. What does that personal trainer look like? They usually just stand there, they give you some words of encouragement, they count your sets. They're gonna walk around with a clipboard with a sheet on it that has some, predetermined program on it that they just give to everybody. And they're just gonna mark things off as you go. They're not gonna push you that much. They're gonna make you do 3 sets of 8 or whatever the hell it is, right? What is that doing for you? Yeah, at this point, just go online and fucking ChatGPT. Sorry, they're not doing much for you. And maybe when you first start out, that's really all that you need, but you could be getting a lot more out of that, right? And if that really is all that you need, go to ChatGPT. I'm not the biggest advocate of having AI, be the progenitor of your health, but nonetheless, it's going to do the same thing for you that type of personal trainer is doing for you. So that's why for most people, for most gyms, it's just not the way that I suggest that you go. Like I said before, there's plenty of gyms where they've got great personal trainers there. And if you've got one, you found somebody who's really good, fine. But how do you find that one really good personal trainer? How do you even know that they're good compared to Jimmy? Right? This brings me to the second thing that you should be doing when you're trying to find a personal trainer. And that's having an actual goal in mind. I know it sounds silly, but most people think they have a goal in mind, but you don't really. Most people, again, I was a personal trainer for a while. When I ask them what their goals are, it's this very amorphous thing that they want. They're like, I kind of want to look better. I want to lose a little bit of weight, but maybe I want to bulk and put on some muscle too. I care about my strength too, so I still also want to be strong, but I want to look good too. I haven't seen my 6-pack in a while, but I also have a really busy schedule, so I need something that I can move around a lot and be very flexible. That's not a goal. That's you just wanting everything all at once, right? Sit down, and even if you have a long list of things that you want out of your fitness career here, pick out the number one thing that you're struggling with right now. Don't care what it is, just pick one. Pick the one thing that matters to the most to you right now. Be the first, number 1, number 2 priority. Pick those, and let's start there. Maybe it's that you just want to see your abs, right? It's been a while since you've seen a 6-pack. Maybe you've never seen your 6-pack at all, and you really want to see them. Fine, goal number 1. Goal number 2, struggling with your diet? Fine, you want to figure out how to fit in more protein into your diet. 1 and 2 priorities. Again, you might have other things that you want, and that's fine, but pick out those 2 things that matter the most to you. When you're going to find a personal trainer, those are the 2 things that you keep in mind, nothing else. Again, because when you end up working with a personal trainer or an online coach, you're going to build a relationship. You're going to be able to tackle all those smaller things that you want along the way, but you need to go into it with some intentionality. And one main thing that you want to get out of this client-coach relationship that you can keep them accountable on. You're talking to whatever personal trainer you might end up working with, just blatantly say that. Tell them, you know what, I haven't seen my abs ever, and I just really want to see a six-pack on my body for once. That's really what I want. It's the only thing. And talk to them through that. See if they have any expertise in that area. See if they've had other people come to them with the same issue and they've helped them get to that goal. See how long it took them to get to that goal. See what type of clients they've gotten to that goal before, right? Have they worked with a bunch of people that already had a six-pack and then they just maintained that six-pack, right? Like, look for those transformations, right? Because then they might not be who you're looking for. You know, you want to see a personal trainer who has taken somebody who's 100 pounds overweight and gotten them their abs, right? That's what you're looking for in that case. I'll give you an example from my world. I come from the world of bodybuilding. That was kind of the clients that I typically worked with the most was bodybuilders. A lot of like first-time competitors too. And bodybuilding is very interesting because truly the only thing that matters is what you look like on that stage. That's it, right? And sure, there's this long prep that comes before that. There's an even longer off season that might come before that. So there's all of this preparation that goes into it. But truly, all that matters is how you look on that day for those couple of minutes that you're on stage. That is the only thing that people truly care about in the world of bodybuilding. So when I have new clients coming to me or when I want to market myself to other clients, I'm going to show people what that day looked like for previous clients of mine, because that's really all that they should be caring about. You know, I might sit down and show them some prior client transformations, which for me is just going to be, you know, what did other clients look like on stage? You know, how many of my clients won? How many of them got a natural pro card or an IFBB pro card, which in my case, I didn't work with any IFBB pros. I was at a slightly different level. But nonetheless, like this is going to be the thing that matters to my clients when they're looking for me, and you need to figure out what that thing is that matters the most to you when you're looking for a coach. Okay, so we've established having some intentionality behind your decision. Don't just go somewhere and get assigned somebody. We've established that, you know, you need to have a goal set out as well, so that when you're talking to personal trainers that you might want to work with, that you can vet them a little bit. But we haven't covered how to find them. How do you find that person that's going to be an expert that you can even have that conversation with about your goals? This brings me to my third issue, and it's that a lot of people aren't going to the right places. So this starts getting at the core issue of why I developed Coach Finder to begin with, right? And it's that the only other option that I see people using very often is just kind of scrolling through social media and picking whoever kind of seems like they might be a good fit for them. And a lot of people usually choose based on personality or just the way that somebody looks. And sure, that can be an important factor in it. Obviously, you want to have a good relationship. You want to make sure that they're a personality that you can vibe with a little bit. But it's not the number one thing that matters, at least not in my opinion and not in my experience. So we developed Coach Finder so that you can have a free online platform where you can go start vetting coaches, right? You can go look at a whole database of coaches and you can filter by, you know, certifications, by their area of expertise, by the types of clients that they typically work with. You can go there and start searching for potential coaches that you actually want to work with, but at least you can have some rigor behind that decision. It effectively gives you a way to kind of expedite that process of just kind of scrolling through social media and following a bunch of random fitness accounts and just slowly figuring out which one of those people you might end up wanting to work with one day. And I'm not even saying that's necessarily a bad idea. You could go to Coach Finder, scroll through, find 2-3 coaches that you think might be a good fit for you, go to their social media directly through Coach Finder and start scrolling through their videos. See if they are that personality that kind of matches what you want. It kind of brings me to my fourth piece of this strategy for finding a personal trainer. And I think it's something that some people do, but maybe don't realize necessarily the importance of doing it. And that's finding the right coaching style for you. And the way that some people do this is, again, by scrolling through social media and following these creators and these coaches and just seeing if they kind of vibe with their personality. But let's go a level deeper than that, because not every coach really operates on the same level. Some coaches are going to breathe down your neck. Some coaches are going to be up your ass all the time because that's how they coach. They want to be inside your life and make sure that you're executing everything that you need to do on a day-to-day basis. And for some people, that's great. Some people want that, you know, that micromanaging from a coach to make sure that, you know, hey, they care about me. Some people hate that though. Some people want their autonomy. Some people just want to be told what to do every week, try to execute that plan to the best of their ability and just kind of tap in with their coach on a weekly basis and make sure that they're still doing all the stuff that they need to be doing, right? Kind of a hands-off approach. And then there's all of the styles in between. Another aspect of this is that some coaches are going to be very strict. They're going to demand that you do exactly what they ask you to do. And if you're not doing that, they're going to get on your case about it. They're going to be a little bit of a prick. And again, some people really like that. Some people like that level of accountability. But on the other end of the spectrum, some people also really enjoy having a coach that's a little bit more flexible, a little bit more understanding, a little bit more, soft spoken perhaps, and understands that you might have some extenuating circumstances. You're a mother of 6 kids, right, with 2 jobs. It might be a little bit difficult for you to execute the most perfect training plan or the most perfect nutrition plan, right? So understand what you're looking for from a coach. Likewise, there's a little bit of philosophy behind how each coach operates. Even if you just go, scroll through social media in the fitness sphere, you'll see a lot of coaches bitching back and forth and arguing with each other about, what's the science-based approach to this? What's the evidence-based approach to this? There's the bro science guys who don't give a shit about any of that, and they just say, hey, this got me this result. I'm going to keep doing it. I don't care what the science is behind it. I don't care what the studies say. There's this whole spectrum of your coaching philosophy. How much of it is just by the book? How much of it is coming from research papers? How much of it is coming from client experience? How much of it is coming from their own experience? There's a lot that goes into this. And again, along that entire spectrum of different coaching philosophies, you're going to align with yourself one way or another. If you're a book nerd like me, maybe you want that coach that's very evidence science based, and that's how they do things. They want to understand mechanisms. They want to understand the specifics of how the body is working on multiple different levels. For somebody like me, that's always what I look for in a coach. I want a coach who seems like they're practically a PhD in what they do. In fact, you could go find a coach who has a PhD in what they do. But there's also plenty of people out there that they just want a coach who, hey, they're getting results. What they say is making sense. I don't care about the science, right? This guy's jacked. He looks awesome. His clients look awesome. I'm going to go work with him. That's it. That's all they care about. And that's enough of a training philosophy for them. And there's nothing wrong with that. But you at least need to understand where you sit on that spectrum. So I say all of these things, and I say that people might not understand necessarily how much that matters, because I've worked with plenty of clients in the past who come to me knowing that I'm one of these more science and evidence-based guys. And then when I try to explain to them why we're doing certain things and where it's coming from and what mechanism in the body I'm using as my basis for making certain decisions, they don't care, right? And then they come back to me and they're like, well, my jacked friend Jason doesn't do it that way. I'm like, I don't give a shit about your jacked friend Jason. He's not you. And he's also doing something stupid. He just happens to be jacked genetically, right? So if you don't find a coach who has a training philosophy that you align with and a communication style that you align with, there's going to be friction. And again, it's not about whether they're a good coach or a bad coach because they're science-based or because they're super strict or something. It's about just finding the right coach for you. So figure out what you want. Figure out what you want out of a coach. A lot of people will come to me and say no, I need a bit of an ass kicking. I need that accountability. I need you to be a little bit more stern. And that's typically the way that I lean, if you've seen my content in the past. And then they just don't actually respond well to that. Every week I might get on their case about something, and I can tell that they're just not responding to that type of sternness coming from me. And when I employ a little bit more, understanding and compassion and try to work around their issues and their schedule a little bit more, give them a little bit more leniency, I see the results start to flourish. So some people, you think you want one thing and it turns out that you don't, and you were actually somebody who needs a little bit more hand-holding potentially. Again, there's nothing wrong with that. So sit back and understand what it is you want out of that coach-client relationship. How do you want to communicate with this person? How hands-on do you want them to be? And what type of philosophy are you kind of looking for from their coaching? And if you don't know, that's also fine. Go talk to a couple coaches, go, apply to a couple coaches, get on the phone with them, because most of them are usually going to have an intake call with you of some kind, and kind of flesh that out a little bit. Ask them what their training philosophy is. Ask them how they approach coaching. Ask them how they like to communicate with clients, if they're a little bit more strict, if they're a little bit more lenient, whatever it is, right? But you owe it to yourself to figure those things out. Whether you go to the local gym and you vet those personal trainers and you go work with them, or you find an online personal trainer, it costs money. You're going to spend money on this. You're going to try to develop a relationship with a coach in order to get you to where you want to be. You're outsourcing your health and your fitness to somebody else. Put a little bit of effort into that decision. And if you're struggling with where to start vetting these coaches and where to find them, go to coachfinders.org. It's free. There's no sign up bullshit. You can go literally right now and start looking at coaches, right? You can start scrolling through. You can start filtering by your budget. You can start filtering by their expertise. You can do that right now and start developing that short list of coaches that maybe you want to work with, maybe you want to reach out to, maybe you want to apply and actually go see what they're all about. But please, for your own sake, just stop going to the local commercial gym and saying, oh, I just want to get in shape, and getting assigned Jimmy or Tammy who doesn't give a shit about you at all, okay? Please.